Welcome. And task 3 is to calculate a correlation coefficient, which is a number that we can put on that scatter plot. If it's upward sloping, it'll be positive. If it's downward sloping, it'll be negative. If it's close to 1, it's a strong relationship. If it's close to 0, it's a weak relationship. So we need to calculate something called a correlation coefficient, and then we're going to use the visual called a card. And the card will let us put that onto our PowerPoint presentation so that we can talk about it during the session. So to calculate something, you have measures, and we're going to use the quick measure. So if I'm in home, my data is already loaded up, I click on quick measure. It then asks, what do I wish to calculate? And I can see I've got lots of different things I can calculate. Time, if I'm looking at time intelligence, I'm looking at year-over-year changes or whatever. But I'm going to scroll down, continue to scroll down until I find the mathematical operations, and I'm going to select correlation coefficient. It's going to then, of course, ask me what data I would like to add. So I'm going to click on Add Data, and it opens up the sheet, as you can see here. And my sheet data, I'm going to select year for my category. The x-axis I'm going to take as, measure x, I'm going to take as GDP, annual change. And then I'm going to take house prices, annual change. And then I'm going to click, when it's all set up, I just click add at the bottom. Then works on that and goes ahead and does the quick measure, which is great. And then I click on close quick measures. And to see if I want to view it, I'm going to view, I go into the data format. Something quite interesting has happened. Let me close this down. And this is just showing you what they call the DAX, how they actually calculate it. But I don't need to see that, so I can just close that down. But if we look at the sheet now, I've got a whole new variables come in. It's got a little calculator next to it, which represents a quick measure. You can see quick measures up here, or new measures. So that's the calculation it's done. And it's calculated something called GDP annual change and house prices annual change, the correlation for the year. I'm going to just change that slightly because I'm going to click on my 3 dots and I'm going to click on rename. And I'm just going to call this correlation. HP for house prices and GDP. And the reason I do that is just so that I can see it stands out from the other ones. Otherwise, I'd have a GDP to start with. Great. It's calculated. I've got my correlation coefficient. So I need to create now the visual for it. And there's kind of 2 ways you can do that. You can do that the long way, which is you can just go to the visual gallery. You can go to gauge cards and KPIs and select the 1, 2, 3, which is the card. You can drop that in. You can then say add the data. I'm just going to drag that across to the correlation, and we have it like this. Or I can just literally drag that to my sheet, and it does exactly the same. Save me a few clicks. I'm going to go 3 dots up here where it says more options, and I'm going to remove that because I'm only looking at one. So now we can do, I'm going to close the data pane down because I've seen that one. And I'm just going to go to view again, and I'm going to switch to the format pane just to see what options I've got. So I can do the normal things that we do. I can put a visual border around it. I can go to the title. I'm going to turn the title on. I can give it a more meaningful title. Make that a little bit larger. Give it the background I'd like to give it so that it all looks the same. Include a subtitle. Make that nice bit a little larger. Give it a divider. And then because I've got within the title of the correlation, it prints it here. I can just remove the category label, and then that tidies that up. If I'd like to look at the call out value, I see that's 45. I can make this much larger if I so wish. So it really calls out, and that's fine. So there we go. That is how I use the card visualization to represent a correlation coefficient which I've calculated through using the quick measures.